Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are going to be taking a look at the trailer for Alien Earth. Now, a few weeks ago, we did a trailer reaction to Predator Badlands where we basically asked ourselves, can this really be the Predator? And we also noted that there is a crossover with the Alien franchise by having a synth who is a property of Weyland Yutani. So with Predator, it kind of left us scratching our heads, Lee, because we were just asking, like, is it really supposed to look like that? You know?
And I feel like, and it's weird that we can even make that argument because it's like, it's just an alien. It's just whatever, whoever's directing it wants to make it. Yeah. But it is weird how I think almost everyone's reaction, probably because we've seen it have this same type of look for so long that anything different feels wrong to us, even though it is just really just an alien creature that you can just do whatever you want.
I mean, because it has been consistent over time. Now, yes. I will say this because when we saw Prometheus and was Alien Romulus, when we saw the Deacon, it was different but yet familiar. If that makes any sense, because we could still recognize it as the Xenomorph, right? It's just it was just in its early stages. Whereas, with the Predator and Predator Badlands, I really couldn't tell if it was supposed to really be a predator or if it was like a hybrid.
Yeah. To be like a teen predator, it's just he's growing into his body.
I guess. But Alien Earth is coming out in August, and it is being produced by Noah Hawley, who has a pretty good track record with taking well-known intellectual properties and adapting them for TV. Did you ever see that show Legion with Dan Stevens?
I have not. I've heard things about it, positive things mainly. I've not seen it.
It's an interesting take on the X-Men legend, and I think what Noah and if you think about it, Noah Hawley's kind of taken the same approach as Christopher Nolan is, because Nolan is famous for kind of dipping his toes in different genres, right? So he does Interstellar to kind of scratch that sci-fi itch. He does Memento, which is more of a crime drama. Obviously, the Dark Knight trilogy is his take on the superhero genre. And then next year, we'll see the release of The Odyssey, which is his take on Greek mythology. So with Noah Hawley, he's already done his adaptation of the X-Men franchise with Legion. And then he did an adaptation of Fargo, which we did a review of a few months ago.
That we did.
Which is his take on the crime genre. And now we're taking a look at Alien Earth. And Alien is one of those franchises where it's either hit or miss. And you famously have said time and time again that there have only been two well-done iterations of the franchise, right?
Correct. And I will definitely stand by that. I would say I wouldn't necessarily say that Romulus, I would put it anywhere near the same tier of Alien and Aliens. But I felt like it also kind of hit a lot of the things that I liked with the original two, more so than maybe some of the other products that are out there. But yeah, I would definitely say that the first two absolutely stake out as like really not only fantastic for the series, but just the genre as a whole, I think are up there with a lot of people's favorites.
And another thing too is that I mean you need to have the right person at the helm to make this work, because because James Cameron, what he did in Aliens was pretty bang on. Like, he took what Ridley Scott did and kind of bring it to another level, right? Yep. Something which its successors haven't been able to to do since then. So so I feel pretty confident that Noah Hawley can pull this off, because the stuff that he has developed and has created, they've been pretty spot on. They've been able to capture the essence of what each franchise is all about, but at the same time, he's able to put his own spin on it. So without further ado, let's take a look at Alien Earth.
10, 9, 8, 7.
I just love the look of all of that, right? Like, that's just 100% the original Alien.
Yep.
Neverland Research Center.
She's ready.
You're going to be the first person to transition from a human body to a synthetic.
Because I'm special.
That's right.
Become a synth, okay.
You're very, very special.
Man, that's really ambitious to have such a big city.
What's on that ship?
We can do it. We're fast, we're strong, we don't break.
It's like a zoo, but the animals got out.
This ship collected 5 different life forms from the darkest corners of the
Giant
universe.
watermelon.
Monsters.
Oh, all right. Well, since that's our Xenomorph. Oh. Oh, cool. I like how they have the gear that they had from like the first and second one.
Mm-hmm.
Invasive species. Predatory.
Oh, what's that weird jellyfish thing?
Mm-hmm.
We don't lock them down.
Is that Timothy Oliphant?
Yep.
It will be too late.
Oh, well.
Oh, here it is. The slime.
Oh, did I just see? Was that the little? It was only there for like a moment, but it looked like it had like little eyes. Is that the jellyfish thing?
So what?
I said it looked like it only was on there for a moment, but it looked like some type of weird alien creature with like little eye things, like in that last part where they're going through very, very rapidly. So it might be really hard to capture. A little bit after this. It was after this. After that. There. Did you see it? You see it, right?
I saw it. Yep. Yep.
It's so fast. It's not even. We're not even be able to capture it on there. But very, like I said, very interesting design there. Kind of really eerie, and I think with like the fact that it's got like it has like these like little eyes, and I wonder it's probably not even like functioning eyes. It looks like kind of like, you know how some animals have like these like kind of like depictions and it's there to like throw off prey and everything like that.
Yeah.
I bet that the eyes don't actually function or do anything. They're just kind of there just to give it kind of this even spookier type of feel for it. But
yeah, it's kind of like an evolutionary process. How some fish, like in the Pacific, like they'll have eyes, but they don't actually work because they can sense by movement or something.
Yeah, it also really interesting too, right? So I went into this, and I don't know about you, right? I'm going into this thinking I'm just going to see xenomorphs, but it looks like there's a lot more that's going to be involved with this.
Right.
Like almost like they've like kind of got like this ship was out there like getting all these really dangerous like alien creatures and bringing them on board, and now it's like it's all being brought to the city. And obviously with, Weyland-Yutani being involved with it, it makes me wonder, like, did they do something to cause the crash, or did they plant it in the city to see what's going to happen? Like, you know how morally bankrupt they are. Yep. I wonder where that's going to, if anything, is going to play into that.
I mean, it reminds me of Paul Reiser's character. He's that unscrupulous exec who's like, who's very much like, I don't care how many people get killed, you just got to save them. It's like, bro, it's killing everybody. Like, what makes you think you're going to be able to control that thing?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, because you're right. Because with Weyland-Yutani, their overall mission is to find something that will that will be like the ultimate weapon. The Omega Sanction that will be the be all and end all. But obviously they they're in over their heads and they try to control something that they don't fully understand. And then it comes back to bite them in the ass. Sometimes literally.
Yes.
But it comes out August 12th. I mean, and I'm quite intrigued because
I am too.
Because when we did our review of Alien Romulus last year, I mean, I initially had some reservations about it because obviously, in the timeline it's supposed to be set, between the first Alien, the first and second Alien movies, right? So you're like, well, how exactly are they going to pull it off? Because when you think of Alien, you're going to automatically think of Ellen Ripley, right? Yeah. So how can you do an Alien movie without Ellen Ripley? And I mean, surprisingly, like I liked what I saw. At least they kept the tone of the movie, and they didn't try to go over the top with the action adventure like you would see in Alien 3, for instance, where they just decided, well, let's just go crazy with the Colonial Marines and just start blowing shit up. They remember that this is a horror movie first and foremost, and they try to keep within that theme. So I'm very much happy to see that Noah Hawley hasn't forgotten the origins of the Alien franchise and is keeping up with the whole terror and suspense that we've expected.
Yeah, and actually, at the very beginning, Luca, what year was this taking place?
It's about 2120, so roughly 100 years, after us,
Yeah, but also, interesting enough, right? So the original Alien took place in 2122. So this is literally happening 2 years before the original Alien movie.
And that's something that does make me scratch my head a little bit, because my understanding is what happened in the Nostromo is supposed to be like, quote unquote, the first documented, encounter with the Xenomorph,
That's true. That's true. So it makes you wonder, like, how that's all going to spin in. Now, granted, like, I don't recall how long the Nostromo have been out there before. So who knows, like, time-wise, like, it probably launched prior to all this stuff happening, and then it happened afterwards. So maybe this is what kind of sparked some of their interest in it.
Yeah.
It also wonders, like, how do you cover all this up, right? I mean, because this is it's, to me, very interesting that they do it in this huge city, right? Because it really shows that's very ambitious, because, like, you're gonna have to really explain everything that's happening in this huge area.
Maybe they'll take a playbook out of the Predator movies and just go full nuke and just wipe everything out to just silence everything.
Yeah, or like I think about like like Resident Evil Raccoon City, right? Like they just like demolish everything. So or maybe they're able to like contain it, and they just have like a cover story for everything that happens. So
well, either that. Well, I was gonna say either that, or what they might do is they might do something where they just launch it into space as like a last ditch effort to kind of get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow it, like, either a Xenomorph or an egg survives, and then and then it gets picked up, because the Nostromo is a salvage ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so maybe one of the ships that Nostromo encounters is something that got jettisoned into space, and they think, oh, this is some pretty cool shit, and then mayhem ensues after that. The only thing about the Alien one of the biggest gripes I have about the Alien franchise is that they kind of play fast and loose with the timeline, right? So it's like it's like you kind of have to wonder, like, is this, are we supposed to follow everything from Alien onward, or from Prometheus onward, or what?
That's very true. Yeah, it's hard to put that much, but I will say it is very interesting that you're going to do the timeline only a few years before the original one started. So I feel like that has to be, like, something has to be factored into that. Otherwise, you would just choose like an arbitrary date and not deal with it. So the fact that they chose it so close to when that original one happened, I feel like is going to play into their decisions on how they want to show everything.
Yeah, well, either that, or what they might try to do is just just kind of do it to where humans encountered Xenomorphs before they were officially encountered, right? So maybe Weyland Yutani's doing this sort of thing where it's like, oh, well, we had no knowledge of of these creatures before then. Tell us more about it. When oh, there's a lot more that these people know about, but obviously they're not going to be forthcoming about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like that would work extremely well with how they like base everything on, because they've showed like how the company, right? That's how it was originally referenced. I don't even think it was called Weyland Yutani initially, but like we know how much that they're all about deceit and everything. So I think that's a very good call, Luca. I can 100% see them capturing these and keeping them like kind of prisoner. And then, the fact that the Nostromo finds it later on makes them like, oh, this is very interesting. Like, we know how dangerous these things are. We need to collect more of them. So maybe that has a very loose reason into explaining why the Nostromo was so obsessed with them going out there finding these creatures, it's because it's set up from this standpoint.
Well, another thing too, because we saw at the very beginning, our protagonist being led into a looks like a hospital research facility where her mind is basically transplanted into a synthetic body, which is kind of unique because most of our encounters with synths have always been they've been built and programmed and that's it. So this is like a pretty unique way to kind of approach the subject because
the very Ghost in the Shell vibe for anyone that's seen that.
Well, I was gonna say, because I know when Star Trek Picard in season 1, they basically take Jean-Luc Picard's body is dying, so they put at the end of season 1 they put his body inside of an android body or a synthetic body, and so he carries on as Captain Picard, but he's not really Captain Picard. He's just you know what I mean.
Yeah. Something else that's interesting as well. So the main character, right? Her name's Wendy, right? So we know this takes place in Neverland, right? So very interesting. Like I'm looking at a lot of the character names, and they're like all related to Peter Pan. Like I see one of the characters' names is Nibs. Nibs being like one of the Lost Boys,
right?
So kind of going to be interesting that we're taking this Peter Pan element as well. So it makes me wonder, if we're taking all these characters from Peter Pan, obviously there has to be a strong reason for it. So I'm very curious what they're wanting to do with this.
Well, that's what I really, really like about what they do with Aliens, that they do references to other works, right? So they're not just simply coming up with names on the fly. I mean, because in Prometheus, Liz Shaw, right? Anybody who's a Doctor Who fan will know that Liz Shaw was a companion of the Doctor in the original run in the 1970s. Which I thought was a pretty good callback. And then obviously you have David, the android. That's a reference to Michelangelo's David, the being of ultimate, perfection. So I really do enjoy all these allusions that you see here. But yeah, I mean, comes out August 12th. I will be very, very eager to watch that when it comes out. It's 8 episodes. And it looks like it's going to be running episodically, so we're not going to get it in one one huge batch.
No. It's kind of struggle with that. I struggle with waiting. No.
You've been spoiled by the whole streaming thing, Lee. I
know, right? But that's the case, right? Like we're so used to just like having everything dumped, or they do like big batches. Like I know for like Stranger Things, it's gonna be kind of like 3 different parts that they're gonna do, but you're still getting like a ton within those 3 individual parts. But yeah, I mean, like I said, 8 episodes, pretty good length, and I'm very curious what they could do with that.
All right, well, let's know down in the comments below. Are you excited to watch Alien Earth when it comes out? Do you have high hopes for it, or are you going to be watching with skeptical optimism? Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely helps us out. We're slowly growing our audience, and we're always putting out new shows on the channel, so be sure to subscribe for the latest episode drop. And as always, thanks for tuning in.